SEAL Team 7 Alpha Platoon, your last deployment. And, from what I understand, you have a handful of combat deployments before you ever even showed up there. You have multiple awards with Valor, which for you civilians, that means combat trigger time, which you were awarded for. You're a sniper, you're a breacher, you're a medic. You got Sailor of the Year, which is a very high honor. That means you're the highest or the best SEAL at the SEAL team. Was that at SEAL Team 7?
I got Sailor of the Year for Group 1, so all the West Coast.
Oh,
For
shit.
Group 1, yeah.
That's a huge deal. Wow. You got your own parking spot.
Yeah, and I got a funny story about that too, which we can get into later. But yeah, I definitely got my own parking spot, and honestly, I don't know how I made Group 1 Sailor of the Year, but somehow I got picked for it. I had my best friend was my platoon chief at the time, so he did a good write up for me, which is how I think it got pushed through. But yeah,
well, whatever, you got it, man. That's cool. And am I missing anything? Oh, yeah. You were rated the #1 platoon chief, Team 7, and you took the worst rated platoon and made it into the most effective, best, highest rated platoon in Team 7 in what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
And you were only able to bring one guy with you. I remember you saying, you wanted to stack the deck and you were trying to bring some friendlies over and to a team that was complaining about weak leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And you were told you were only allowed to bring one guy with you. And so let's kick it off from there. SEAL Team 7, Alpha Platoon, you're taking platoon chief, getting ready to lead these men into Mosul.
Yep.
And their prior deployment, they were bitching about weak leadership. And now they have you with a magnitude of fucking combat experience.
Yeah. So I was just coming off a rotation out at the CRE, Crisis Response Element, which was in UAE. I just picked up chief, and I was given the opportunity to do a platoon chief for the next rotation. The master chief of the team told me he was going to, I was in Charlie platoon at the time, and he was going to take me out of Charlie and put me in charge of Alpha platoon. The word around, or everybody knew, that Alpha platoon didn't do so hot the last rotation. Nobody really knew why. I mean, I didn't know any of those guys. But that was pretty much just the word that was put out, and it showed, when you saw those guys perform. So once I was given the opportunity to go over to Alpha, I went over there with no preconceived notions. I wasn't going there like, okay, you guys are a bunch of turds or whatever. Everyone was starting off on a clean slate, because I didn't know anybody. So I took over. I sort of entered that platoon pretty slow, just sort of feeling it out. As you know, so when you come back from deployment, you're in professional development phase. So that's where everybody goes off to their specialty schools. So the platoon is never really fully together until you start ULT or workup. But while during pro dev, I came up with a training schedule where we were going to work on the basics 2-3 times a week. And I didn't care if the whole platoon was there or not. I was like, well, do it with what we got right now. And then as guys filter in and come back from schools, we'll just, enter the training. It was nothing sexy about the training. It was all just basic stuff on, patrolling, post, pre-op assault procedures, 2 4-man room entries, starting at basics, going through.
Just getting used to each other, building some team cohesion, and seeing how everybody walks.
Yep. And the third platooners at the time, I think, thought that they were too good for, that I was taking up their time by doing this basic training. And I didn't know at the time, but there was definitely a lot of grumbling from these third platooners, which is there's probably 4 of them.
So let's just take all the like stuff that you learned about them afterwards and just like first impression, how to go.
Okay. First impression.
And one question I do have is you hit a crossroads before you took platoon chief. And if I understand correctly, and you were going to go back to green team to screen to go over to become an operator at dev group.
Yeah.
Or the other option was to take your platoon chief slot, and you chose your platoon chief slot. Did you know the platoon you were going to take over before you made that decision?
No.
You didn't?
No. I had called up my buddies over at development group, told them my situation, what my options were. I still wanted to go over there. My goal was to go screen. They gave me the advice, or like, no, take the platoon chief spot. I don't think there was much going on, or they weren't doing much at the time. And I was pretty long in the tooth when it came to my years in service. I think I was at 16 and a half years at that point. I had been putting off picking up chief or taking any leadership roles just because I wanted to just be a shooter and door kicker. But my time had come, and they were like, no, you're going to do, your next stop is a leadership role. So I decided to take that. But with the downfall was, once you do your platoon chief, you can't screen to go over there. I mean, that's like a hard, fast rule. So that was a huge decision for me at that point. But, I made the best one, I think, and it was also good. I made a decision for my family as well. I didn't want to, my wife, Andrea would do whatever I chose to do, but I knew she did not want to move to Virginia Beach. So that was a big factor in there too.
Even after you found out which platoon you were taking over?
Yeah, I had no qualms like at all about taking over that platoon. I learned early on that I'm not going to listen to rumors or whatever of people's reputations or platoon's reputation. I was like, you know what? I'll go in there. I mean, they're all team guys, and I'll see what I got. Like I said, everybody started off on a clean slate, and honestly, they were a bunch of good dudes, good operators. After we started training together, and what I came to find out is like their last leadership, and I'm not talking bad about them at all, but I mean, I think it was pretty lax. There wasn't a lot of effort put into getting better at your skill craft. It was just like, go through the motions and then we'll go on deployment, which to me, that's not, we should always be striving to be better. And you start doing that by working on the basics of your craft and then go from there.
Yeah.
So that's like the mentality I came in with. I was like, hey, we're just going to start from the bottom, work our way up. And especially when we had about 4 new guys, 2 JOs, and then 2 enlisted new guys. And you're only as good as your slowest guys. So I was like, hey, we got to bring these guys up to speed as well.
There was only 4 new guys in the whole platoon.
Yeah, and that's the least amount I've had in all my other platoons.
So why were these guys rated the lowest or the worst platoon at Team 7 when you showed up?
What they told me what the platoon told me after I got to know them a little bit, because I wasn't gonna like pick at them and be like, why are you guys rated last? But eventually it started coming out, and a lot of it was what they told me was due to their leadership. They blamed it on their LPO, their chief, and their OIC, saying that none of them got along and that they didn't have good command and control, and it all went downhill from there, I guess.
Were their tactics savvy?
Yeah, I mean, they weren't bad at all. That's what I came to find out. I was like, as soon as we started, working from ground up, I was like, he's good to go. I think they just needed to have somebody there that's like, this is what our job is, this is what it entails, and we're gonna work at this. And by the time we had started work up, you know, a big example of it is we started work up. Our first block was CQC, um, and usually what trade at the guys who run CQC will say is like, you know, the first platoon to come through from a team is usually sort of a mess because they have, you know, they're sort of figuring it out.
Real quick, CQC is close quarters combat. So CQC is when you see a team of operators kick a door in and flood a
Mhm.
structure. So just for that.
Yep. So yeah, trade at they, you know, they usually, and I saw too, like, you know, a platoon isn't fully there yet. You know, they're still getting used to working together. I wanted to cut that out by making sure we busted our ass during pro dev. When we showed up, we were pretty much a cohesive, tight unit at that point, and it showed. You know, Tradet told me they're like, "You guys look like you've been working together for 2 years. Like this is the best we've seen the platoon come for your first block."
Shit, really?
Yeah,
So you like,
which was awesome. I mean, it was the hard work paid off, and I think the guys, you know, whether if they were bitching about it or not, finally saw that they're like, "Oh, we're actually doing awesome this time," you know, and that continued all the way through ULT. We
so
got
how long is ProDev nowadays?
ProDev is it fluctuates, but usually it's still around the 6 month, 5 to 6 month mark from the time you get back from deployment to where ULT starts.
So in 6 months in ULT or ProDev, s- the guys aren't even all together. So you
No,
took a team who's not even all together until the actual workup started, and they're already fucking going from the worst platoon
they're
to
getting higher.
operating at the
Yeah,
highest level at that particular team.
yeah, they're getting high remarks from TradeEd, which I don't think they were used to from their last,
Yeah.
last go. So they were all riding pretty high, I think, and feeling good, which they should. You know, they put in the work.